Downloading and installing Xcode is the foundational step for any aspiring iOS developer. With Xcode, you gain access to the tools and resources needed to build amazing applications. So, let's dive right into the process of downloading and installing this powerful integrated development environment. First, head over to the Apple developer website. You'll find the latest version of Xcode available for download. Click the Download button. It's as simple as that. Just a heads up, depending on your internet speed, this might take a bit, so be patient. Once it's downloaded, locate the file, which will typically be in your Downloads folder. When you find it, double-click to begin the installation process. A window will pop up, and you'll want to drag the Xcode icon to your Applications folder. That's the key part. After that, it'll start copying, and voila! You now have Xcode installed. Next, go ahead and open Xcode. On your first launch, it might take a moment to set things up, so give it a second. Once it opens, you'll be greeted by a welcome screen. Here, you can create a new project or explore sample projects Apple provides. Friendly tone. Don't forget to check out the documentation. It's really helpful for getting familiar with all the features available to you. And there you have it. You're all set to start exploring the world of iOS app development. Now, let's get into creating your first app in the upcoming sessions. First things first, let's head over to the Mac App Store. Just click on the Apple icon in the top left corner of your screen and select App Store from the drop-down menu. If you're already familiar with the App Store, this part should feel like second nature. Once the App Store is open, just use the search bar and type in Xcode. You'll see it pop up in the results. Now, here's where the magic begins. Hit that Get button or the Install button if you see it available for download. This will kick off the download process, and you'll be well on your way to having Xcode on your machine. When Xcode starts downloading, enjoy this brief intermission. Depending on your internet speed, it could take anywhere from a few seconds to a few minutes. Don't worry, it's worth it. Xcode is a hefty application packed with everything you need to develop apps for all of Apple's platforms, including iOS, macOS, watchOS, and tvOS. Its powerful features and robust interface make it a vital tool in your developer arsenal. The figure titled Time to Complete Steps for Downloading and Installing Xcode presents a bar chart that illustrates the sequence of 7 key steps along with the minutes typically required for each. So, along the x-axis, we have the ordered steps: download Xcode, install Xcode, agree to license, run first app, explore Xcode UI, run in simulator, and finally, run on device. The y-axis shows time in minutes, with each bar clearly annotated by its integer value. Now, looking at these bars, a clear pattern emerges. The longest step is Run First App, clocking in at 15 minutes. This suggests that the initial project build and configuration can really take up a lot of time. Following that, Run on Device takes about 12 minutes. And we have 2 steps tied at 10 minutes each: Install Xcode and Run in Simulator. This really underlines how significant setup and environment execution can be as time sinks, right? Then, we see Explore Xcode UI chilling at a mid-range 8 minutes, while the quickest step, surprisingly, is Agree to License, taking just 2 minutes. Yeah, that's quite fast. And the initial Download Xcode shows a modest 5 minutes. So, what does this distribution suggest? Although downloading is relatively quick, the installation and first run activities demand increasingly more time. Therefore, when you're planning your first setup session, make sure to allocate way more time for installation, as well as those simulator or device runs, and also for getting that first app to build and appear successfully. Taken together, these values illustrate a cumulative effort that's heavily front-loaded around setup and the first run, reinforcing the important lesson that patience during this crucial configuration stage can really lead to a smoother development workflow later on. Once the download is complete, the installation will start automatically, and you'll see a progress bar indicating how things are moving along. When it finishes, you can find Xcode in your Applications folder or easily access it using Spotlight. Just press Command plus space and type Xcode. Now, you might be thinking, great, I'm done, but hold on, there's a little setup involved. The first time you launch Xcode, you'll likely have to agree to a license agreement, so just read through it, and if you're okay with the terms, click Agree. This step is pretty crucial for using any development tools from Apple. Also, Xcode might prompt you to install some additional components. Definitely go ahead and let it do its thing. It'll only take a few moments, and trust me, these components are essential for running the application smoothly. Now that you have Xcode installed, let's take a minute to explore its interface. When you first launch Xcode, you'll be greeted by a welcome window offering several options. Create a new Xcode project, check for updates, or open a recent project. Creating a new project is where the fun begins! Click on Create a new Xcode project. You'll see a prompt asking you to choose a template for your project. Depending on what you want to create, you might select App under the iOS tab. These templates serve as your starting point for different types of applications. For example, if you're creating a simple single-view application, the app template will totally do the trick. After selecting the app template, go ahead and click Next. Now, you'll need to fill out some basic information for your new project. First up, choose your product name. Let's go with My First App for now, because, come on, we all remember our first attempt. How original, right? Next, select your team if you're signed in to your Apple developer account. But hey, don't worry if you're a beginner. This step is optional. In the organization name field, you can write your name or your company's name if you're feeling fancy. The organization identifier, which is typically in reverse domain name format, should look something like com.yourname. This identifier is really important. It's used to uniquely distinguish your application from others. Now, let's specify the interface and lifecycle of your app. For the User Interface option, select Storyboard. This choice is going to set up your app to use Interface Builder, making it way easier to design your app's UI visually. Then choose Swift as your programming language. Swift is an intuitive and powerful language that Apple designed specifically for iOS and macOS app development. It's time to make the leap into coding. Now, click Next and select a location to save your project. You can pick any directory that you prefer, but I highly recommend creating a dedicated folder for your projects to keep everything organized. After selecting a location, just click on Create, and like that, you've officially generated your first Xcode project. Let's take a quick glance at the Project Navigator on the left side of Xcode. You should see a file structure that contains the primary files for your project. The most important files right now are appdelegate.swift and viewcontroller.swift. These are the building blocks of an iOS application. Now, let's implement a simple label in our viewcontroller. Below the line where we set the background color of the view to white, we will create a ULabel instance. This label is going to display a welcoming message to our users. So, first up, we'll set the text property of the label to Welcome to my first app. That's a friendly greeting for anyone who opens the app. Now, let's align that text to the center, because we want our message to look neat and be easily readable on the screen. Next, we need to specify the frame of the label. This means we're defining its position and size in relation to the parent view. In this case, we're going to give it a width of 300 points and a height of 50 points, and be sure to center it using its center property. This way, it'll appear right in the middle of the screen, which definitely enhances visibility. Finally, we will call the Add Subview method to attach our label to the main view, making sure it's visible to our users. Now, this step is crucial. If we don't add the label as a subview, well, it just won't show up on the screen. And that's it. With this implementation, we've set up a basic but effective UI element that really enhances the user experience in our app. Next, let's run our app and watch our code come to life. So, on the top left corner of Xcode, you'll find a play button. This is your run button. Go ahead and hit that. Xcode will build your project and launch the iOS simulator for you. Now, if an iPhone model isn't already visible, just select one from the drop-down list right next to the play button. All right, once the application launches, you should see a white screen with your welcoming message right in the center. Congratulations! You have successfully installed Xcode, created a new project, and even coded your very first app. Now, if you run into any errors at this stage, don't sweat it. Seriously, debugging is a normal part of the development process. Just double-check your code and look over any warnings or errors that Xcode highlights in the Issue Navigator. You've got this. Next, we will implement a button that enhances user interaction within our app. This button will change the text of the label when tapped, providing a simple yet effective way to engage users. So, to create the button, we first initialize it as a system-type U button and set its title to Tap Me, just for display purposes. Now, let's position the button within our view by specifying its frame dimensions, making sure it appears centrally placed within the interface. Once we have positioned it, we need to set up an action that gets triggered when the button is interacted with. This is accomplished by linking the button's touch event to a method called changeLabelText. And hey, don't forget to add this method above the viewDidLoad function. The changeLabelText method will update the text of our previously created welcome label with a new message, "You tapped the button." When this executes, it provides instant feedback for the user's action, showcasing a dynamic aspect of the app. Through this button setup, we've introduced a foundational element of interactivity that enhances the overall user experience. Now, let's take a look at a simple Swift UI code snippet that demonstrates how to create a basic user interface. In this structure, we define a view called Content View, which conforms to the View protocol. The main component of any Swift UI view is the body, where you declare what the view will display. Inside the body, we implement a text view that displays the message, "Hello, Swift UI." To enhance the user experience, we apply modifiers to the text. First, we set the font to .large, making it more prominent and visually appealing. Next, we customize the text color to blue using the .foreground color .blue modifier, which helps it stand out against the background. And finally, we add some spacing around the text with the .padding modifier, preventing the text from being too close to the edges of its surrounding view. This modification process exemplifies the declarative nature of Swift UI, where you can easily change how UI elements look and behave with just a few lines of code. With these simple steps, you create an engaging starting point for your app's interface while leveraging the intuitive capabilities of Swift UI. Before we wrap up, let's make sure you're comfortable with the latest updates for Xcode. Apple frequently rolls out updates, and these come packed with new features, bug fixes, and performance improvements. So it's a great practice to check the App Store every now and then, or even better, enable automatic updates in your Mac settings. Staying current will not only enhance your development experience, but also keep your tools optimized for the latest iOS versions. Now, another recommendation is to dive into the extensive documentation provided by Apple. It's truly an invaluable resource. You'll find tutorials, API references, sample code, and integration guides all laid out for you. Whether you're looking to build a complex application or just mastering the basics, Apple's documentation has got you covered. As you continue your journey into iOS development, remember that practice is key. Regularly using Xcode, experimenting with coding, and not hesitating to challenge yourself with new projects, these are all important. Each app you create enhances your skill set, boosts your confidence, and prepares you for more complex applications in the future. Now, in summary, downloading and installing Xcode is just the starting point. From setting up your first project to coding your initial app, the learning process is incredibly rewarding. So, enjoy the ride, keep exploring, and transform your ideas into reality with the power of Xcode.